Isabel Langrish. When asked about their fears, 81% of teenage girls said they were more concerned with being labelled as fat than nuclear war, losing a parent, or being diagnosed with cancer. Currently, it's estimated that 1.6 million people in the UK are diagnosed with an eating disorder. There are a total of 77 million people in the UK, and around 400,000 of these are diagnosed type 1 diabetics. There is one disorder that affects some of the UK's most vulnerable people each year. There is one disorder that is more dangerous than any other. These are the people that are being affected by what is being termed the world's deadliest eating disorder, diabulimia. Diabulimia is a term derived from two separate medical conditions: type 1 diabetes, a life-changing autoimmune disease, and diabulimia, the world's second most prevalent eating disorder. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease triggered by an immune response in the body which leaves the sufferer with the inability to produce the vital hormone insulin, which enables glucose from food to be absorbed from the bloodstream and also prevents the body's natural regulation of blood glucose levels. If left untreated, it can lead to severe complications and long-term health problems. Diabulimia is categorized as a binge-purge eating disorder. This means the patient will consume a large amount of food in a short period of time, but then try to stop themselves from gaining weight by purging the food from their own body by methods such as self-induced vomiting. On its own, bulimia is a dangerous condition. Combined with diabetes, it is a devastating and in many cases fatal atrocity. However, in the case of diabulimia, weight is lost by eating food but then emitting insulin, which will eventually lead to extreme weight loss due to the body having to break down fats and muscles to provide the energy it should be receiving from food. Throughout their lifetime, type 1 diabetics are 2.5 times more likely to develop an eating disorder, with 60% of all women with type 1 diabetes suffering from an eating disorder by the age of 25, alongside 40% of type 1 diabetic women between the age of 15 and 30 emitting insulin on a regular basis to try and achieve weight loss. It is thought that eating disorders are more prevalent in type 1 diabetics due to a heightened awareness of food and the constant emphasis on numbers. As a type 1 diabetic, every meal is draining. Eating no longer becomes a simple task but a relentless spiral, and numbers and figures that remain omnipotent, dictating your every decision and leaving you trapped as a victim in your own body. Once you have experienced this illness firsthand, it is easy to understand why so many people are being diagnosed with diabulimia. The constant stream of numbers, the constant scrutiny, and preconceived opinions of the people around you are enough to make the strongest of people dangerously self-aware and self-critical. Diabetes is a term that is thrown about without much understanding. For instance, many people are not aware that there are more than one type, and this can often lead to many misleading, preconceived opinions that may have damaging effects on someone on the receiving end. The most common type of diabetes is type 2. This is linked to your weight and lifestyle. It's often caused by overeating and often means sufferers are obese. On the other hand, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition. It has no known cause and cannot be cured. By taking the stereotypical connotations of the word diabetes and applying them to every individual with the word diabetes in the title of their condition, society is trying to put everyone into an ill-fitting mould that just won't fit. The detrimental view leads to some of the most degrading and belittling comments you can make to someone with my condition. For example, a joke I have heard many times before. Bob has got 30 chocolate bars, he eats 29. What does he have now? Diabetes. Bob has diabetes. Or the comment people around me so often make without thinking: if you carry on eating like that, you'll get diabetes too. People need to understand words and stereotypes hurt just as much as physical pain, and sometimes even more. Because of these cruel comments, many type 1 diabetics cannot shake the idea that people would assume their diabetes was caused by their weight, and this leads to destructive habits such as omitting insulin or reducing food intake to a bare minimum. Both of these consequences can easily spiral and lead to diabulimia. Furthermore, constant pressure from the media urges girls to be skinnier, and this can be enough to trigger an eating disorder in anybody, but diabulimia is different. It can quickly become fatal or life-changing. If a diabetic completely withdraws insulin for more than a week, they are at a high risk of entering a coma triggered by uncontrolled blood sugar, which makes the body start to shut down. This state can often be too complex to treat if left too late, increasing the risk of fatality. And if the patient does survive, they are more likely to experience blindness, lower limb amputation, kidney failure, and increased risk of stroke, as well as doing permanent damage to bones and vital organ structures for the rest of their lives. Diabulimia is undeniably dangerous, but with the right support it is preventable. This is where the problem lies. Currently, diabulimia is not a registered medical condition and does not feature in any of the major medical textbooks, even though more people are dying from it every year. There is one registered diabulimia support charity in the UK, and inpatient wards willing to treat patients with diabulimia are scarce. This is mostly down to a lack of research and resources to try and find treatment for these people. But still, the condition is widely going unnoticed. Professor Khalida Ismail runs the biggest diabetes and mental health clinic in the whole of the UK and is desperately trying to get support for the condition, as she feels patients are falling through the net as there is a real lack of available care and support for those with diabulimia, and as a result of this, the death toll continues to rise annually. These deaths are not going unnoticed by people who have to deal with them firsthand, but why do people with the power continue to brush diabulimia under the carpet? Is it their responsibility to educate and research the condition, enable better care and support to be accessible to stop the continuous cycle of unnecessary suffering for some of our country's most vulnerable people? Change must happen now to save the nation's young people. Change should be made sooner rather than later to prevent some of the most avoidable and unnecessary deaths in our society, and when change does happen, it will make a difference to the lives of thousands of people that suffer in silence and currently do not see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Lovely, thank you, Izzy. Fascinating subject, and I think one that many of us don't know anything about. When did you first become aware of diabulimia as a condition? Was that quite recently, or have you known about it?
It was a more recent thing, as it's got a little bit more media exposure lately, and there's been a couple of documentaries and it's been on the news.
Okay, and why has it been on the news? Has it been associated with particular deaths?
Yeah, there's been a lot more deaths. The death toll is getting bigger and it's just starting to become more noticed.
And is that, and again, does it tend to affect girls more than boys?
Yeah.
Okay. Girls, any questions that you can think of? Okay, thank you very much, Izzy. Well done.